I am Zach. These are my obsessions. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about one of the sickest, raddest, motherfucking most tubular characters in comic books, Venom. And we're specifically going to talk about Venom as a villain for Spider Man. This is an analysis video of Eddie Brock, Venom, the alien symbiote. First of all, rereading these comics for this video was such a blast. Oh my god. Venom comics are so much fun and they're so kind of fucked up and twisted. The art's just always gorgeous. Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, and David Michelini, underrated in my opinion as a writer. I love these early Venom issues. They're scary. We see Spider-Man playing with some gothic imagery, flirting carelessly with ultra violence through the form of Venom. This is a scary motherfucker, dude. I mean, look at that. That's scary. That's scary. And you don't get better than that cover. That might be the best cover in Spider-Man history. Spider-Man 316, Todd McFarlane. Oh my god, that's the most beautiful cover I've ever seen. It's so powerful. My three favorite Spider-Man villains are the Vulture, Venom, and the Lizard. So yes, I am thrilled to be talking about one of my all-time faves today. I love Venom. I love him so much. Instant teleportation to my childhood. When I was rereading these, I was like, holy shit, I was reading some fucking twisted comics when I was a kid. 80s and 90s comics were fucking twisted, bro. Venom can easily be seen as a psychotic war between two separate and distinct entities, Eddie Brock and the alien symbiote. I think Venom as a whole represents a comic book interpretation of the Jungian shadow archetype, but roided out and thrash metal coated. In his earliest appearances, he is, in my opinion, an abomination of rejection, an abomination of self-hate. Most of all, Venom is an abomination, an amplification of extreme, dangerous loneliness. The alien symbiote and Eddie Brock are the two. The alien fucking Christ. The alien symbiote and Eddie Brock are the two loneliest living creatures in New York. They join together in a church. Eddie Brock's final suicidal act was becoming Venom. And likewise, the symbiote's feelings were also, at that point, clinically disturbed due to rejection. Peter Parker rejected the symbiote. He received the alien suit in the Secret Wars, and he did not want it because he understood that it had a mind of its own, that it was sentient. And maybe this living matter was psychotic in its own right. Peter, in a church tower among the bells, banging them so hard, the sound, the frequency, the vibration, the sonic booms of the bells made the symbiote leave his body. Just so happens that Eddie was at the same church. He was going from church to church to church, talking to God about wanting to kill himself. He was suffering from severe suicidal ideations. Eddie had been a reporter for the Daily Bugle who had been writing stories about a serial killer called the Sin Eater. He irresponsibly published a compulsive confessor's confession as fact. And when Spider-Man caught the true culprit, the true killer, Eddie was laughed out of the business, shamed. He was forced to write tabloids, celebrity gossip columns that he called venomous. It got so bad that he wanted to end it all, but he was raised Catholic, and so that war was raging inside of him. And that's why he was at that church, asking God for forgiveness for what he was about to do. And that's why I call Eddie Brock's final suicidal act was joining with the alien symbiote, becoming Venom, and in turn, or as a result, became comic book history. Forever cemented his comic book legacy, wrote it with lightning. Venom has a very interesting relationship with his own morality system. It's bent, it's fucked up, it's simply just psychotic. He places a lot of value on the concept of the innocent lives of the innocent. And I feel like a great deal of his moral information was delivered to him in a way that feels a little Catholic. Or at least I like to go back to the church, just like Eddie likes to go back to the church. In Venom's first proper battle, his first proper fight with Spider-Man, his first proper issue was Amazing Spider-Man number 300. It was a big issue, and it was a big deal. He ends up bringing Spider-Man back to the church and dresses up like this fucking demonic priest. I think I see a lot of demonic imagery within Venom, and a sort of ironic devotion to half-baked and fully psychotic interpretations of virtues like innocence. Venom exploded onto the scene in the late 80s, and comics were never the same. He ushered in a new wave of visceral, loud, extremely intense comic book characters. And I've always found the kinetic intensity and ravaged beauty of Spider-Man and Venom fighting each other to be truly beautiful, the definition of beauty. It's as if he's fighting the beast inside, this monstrous version of his shadow. Venom perfectly encapsulates or symbolizes it's a perfect example of late 80s and 90s aesthetic, especially within comic books. Like Carnage, I like Carnage, but Carnage kind of overdid it, right? Carnage is kind of the new 90s renegade punk rock comic book mentality overdone, like the ultra violent, morally decadent characters infused with that specific on brand Gen X nihilism. Carnage was that overdone, but I do like Carnage a lot. I understand why he doesn't quite have the longevity that Venom did or has enjoyed. Venom to me, I think, is just perfectly emblematic of the 90s, of the 90s expectations of comic books, of the 90s expectations of comic book villains. And then as he became an anti-hero, he also became emblematic of the comic book expectation of heroes. Our comic book expectations in the 90s were veering on overblown, very colorful, ultra-violent nihilism, all with like this cool flair, this badass attitude, like style over substance. And I'm not really saying any of that as a mode of criticism. That's simply what the time was like. That's simply what the time was. I wouldn't criticize Venom at all. If I were to criticize Venom, I'd have to criticize the 90s themselves, and I'd be, in fact, criticizing my formative years. I can't tell if I love Venom so much because he is such a beautifully written and drawn character. I mean, he is, let's admit that. Or do I love him as much as I do because I was born in the year 1990, and I can't even remember the first time I saw Venom. I can't even remember life before Venom. It feels like Venom was ever present in my earliest years. He was that popular. He was a phenomenon. And it's fun to sit back and try to analyze and kind of pinpoint like the exact reasons why he was so popular. And I think it is because he's just so emblematic of 90s ethos, right? He's just so... He just perfectly captures the attitude in twisted, idealized forms of young comic book readers and like the new school of comic book artists and writers. Just completely captures all of their dreams, however twisted and gothic and demonic and just super sick, bro, they might seem. But Venom can be a deeply confrontational character on a psychological level. We are seeing Peter battle with this entity that is constantly battling itself, right? It's kind of a treatment of the shadow archetype on steroids, with a lot of Metallica records and Slayer records, and certainly some Motorhead ones too. That needs to be said. Venom is one of the funniest characters I've ever read in comics. He's so fucking funny. He's so fucking stupid, bro. I think he's so funny. But like all of his jokes are about like eating your brains, eating your flesh, smelling your flesh. Like it's twisted. It's completely twisted. I love this. The birth of Venom to me truly marks the birth of modern comic books. Like for better or for worse, right? Like the birth of like that 90s boom and bust, that 90s explosion of ultra violent, super edgy, and morally bankrupt comic book characters. Uh, Even though like there is a moral compass to him, like the moral system that exists within Venom is just so twisted, and I think deliberately uh, demonic, that it's very difficult to ascertain like the frameworks of his moral compass. You know, it's just such a psychotic kind of worldview, psychotic psychology to get in. Like to get inside of Venom's POV, it's a very psychotic place, and it's a very dangerous one that you don't want to inhabit for too long, because it kind of prohibits logic. You know, Venom is a very cool and interesting character. I think for all of his coolness, there is a kind of secret complexity to every single thing that makes him so radical. Omi. I think he is the funniest part of the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. I love this show so much. You'll probably see me talk about this show a lot when I analyze Spider-Man. He's just so funny because like every line ends with bro. Don't be emo, bro. Don't go emo on me, bro. Yeah, that wasn't cool, bro. And then Peter Parker out of fucking nowhere calls no one else bro. It's like, yo, what's up, bro? I mean, dude. Like when he's Spider-Man, he almost breaks breaks his character because he has to. He is there's a compulsion. He has to call him bro. I think that Eddie Brock is awesome in this show, and I do like the animated series allowed us to get to know Eddie before he became Venom. I don't care about lore changes when they're talking about a different medium, so long as the character can benefit in some way from it. Spectacular Spider-Man, I think, did most things wonderfully, and it did Venom wonderfully as well. So far as his big screen versions go, Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3, I could live without that entirely. That's clearly a movie made by someone who didn't like the character, didn't want the character in the movie, and certainly didn't understand why the character was so beloved. So it's a really frustrating experience watching that film, because had it been made by someone who really liked the character, and maybe you cast an actor who could believably kick my ass, it probably would have been good. You know, they did the whole church bells thing and like, please God, like, kill Peter Parker. Like they did the whole thing. It's just none of it worked because there was no like passion to it, and it was terribly miscast. And so far as the Venom trilogy with Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams goes, I've only seen the first one, and I thought it was slop. You know, but I like the creature design. I think Tom Hardy is a decent choice for Venom. I've long had a crush on Michelle Williams, so I didn't mind seeing her there, even though I could tell she had no idea what she was doing in that fucking movie. God bless her heart. I thought that Tom Hardy was fine in it. It's just a slop movie, and I'm more interested in Venom as a supervillain rather than an anti-hero. And I didn't see the other two films, not because I've been avoiding them, just because I don't like superhero movies too much. I love comic books, right? And if I want to engage with Venom, I'll read a Venom comic. I'll read them here on the page, or I'll watch some Spectacular Spider-Man, or he had some very good episodes in the 90s animated series as well. I'll watch some of that. Movie is kind of my last resort if I want to interact with comic book psychologies and comic book characters, because movies are the ones that tend to do it the worst. You know, they're kind of the worst representations of the comic characters, at least in my opinion. So even though his big screen adaptations have left me underwhelmed, like I'm not surprised by that fact. And you know, it's whatever. If you like those movies, that's cool. I don't think they're very good representations of the character. I would say that the Tom Hardy film is better than the Sam Raimi and Topher Grace Spider-Man 3 film, but I'm not sure if that's saying a whole lot. The most confrontational you'll ever find Venom is in the Venom comics right here. And you know, there's the 90s kid inside of me. I don't care. Will always love seeing Carnage and Venom together. Like that's 90s as fuck. Maybe I should see that other Venom movie with Woody Harrelson, because I know he plays Carnage. I just never watched it. But come on, the page, look at that. You're not gonna beat that. You're not gonna beat it with anything. And maybe someone like Carnage belongs in the 90s. He's totally possessed by the 90s. Whereas Venom has had this great like ascendancy, right? This huge longevity. Like he's ascended to the comic book Hall of Legends, and he's just had this massive longevity that most characters could only dream of. And he's beloved across the board. That's what happens when you get such a great design. And I know that like the original intention behind this character was almost accidental. Todd McFarlane may have been like a little difficult prima donna artist who was like, yeah, I'll draw Spider-Man, but I don't want to draw that black suit. I hate the black suit. I want to draw the normal suit. So like a compromise would be, like I created this beast, this monster-looking thing as a new villain who has the suit, and then I get to draw Spider-Man normally, and we just transfer it over to this villain. And it wasn't even supposed to be Eddie Brock originally, because I've seen an interview with Todd McFarlane, and he was like, what, Eddie Brock? But that's not his body type at all. So that's why they had Eddie Brock obsessively like pound weights and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just pump iron nonstop. But like the fact that he became so popular is just accidental. And I think he became so popular due to one of the greatest strengths of comic books, and that is the image. That is like the visceral, intense effect of seeing an image that so captures like your mood, your expectations, like your nightmares. You know, adrenaline in a single image. That's what Venom is. You know, he's all the adrenaline of 90s skateboarders in one image. All in all, I love Venom. I think I listed some very good reasons as to why I consider him one of the greatest villains of all time, and one of my three favorite Spider-Man villains. I get so excited every time I see him, especially in these early issues. These early issues are obviously clearly his best, because I like him at his most villainous, and because I think that's when he's at his most fucked up, and I like a fucked up Venom, right? Because I think he's reflective of a fucked up Spider-Man. Venom terrorizing Mary Jane is like, oh, that's really confrontational. That is scary. Uh, because Spider-Man's written so well that I care about Mary Jane. Mary Jane's my wife too, Peter. Like we share her. And yeah, you've never seen her look so terrified, so vacant. Venom could be a terrifying figure. And that's when I think Venom's at his best. When he's terrifying, when he's very funny with his macabre and gallows humor, his very dark humor, and when he's demonic. Because that's when I think that he is the most damaged and most like implicitly demented mirror that is held up before Peter. I like that a lot. All in all, I think that Venom is a legend, an absolute rock star, and a hero, a mascot of every 90s kid, a mascot of the 90s who refuses to die. Because maybe there's something about the 90s ethos, the 90s psychology that refuses to die as well. And maybe it is that untamed, undomesticated, wild, frenzy, kinetic energy that we still feel. Even if it's just a little spark inside of us, we still feel the venom. We still feel that symbiote. We still champion Eddie Brock. Venom. Absolute legend. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to the channel. This is only my second video, and I'm really excited to start my comic book journey with all of you. I want to talk about all the characters I really like. I'm a sucker for villains, so I'll probably make a lot more villain analysis videos than superhero analysis videos. I also want to analyze complete stories. You know, I've got some plans. I've got like just tons of videos that I can do, and I hope that you're there for it. I hope you join me. I don't think that I'm an authority about anything that I talk about. I'm not an expert at all. I just hope I offer maybe a different opinion that is interesting to you to listen to and to watch. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope I said something that you appreciated here. If you're a Venom fan, I think you found a friend in me. I think you did. Thank you, brother. Have a good one.